So I decided to make this video because there's not a lot about it on YouTube. I know when I was going through this, I was looking for all the help I could get and people's stories and experiences, just to see what it was going to be like and if I could go through with it, and just trying to validate my decision. So here we go. So I found out on May 19th of 2015 this year, at 19 years old, that I was pregnant. I had missed my period. It was about a week late, and it's not too unusual for me. I have messed up periods all the time, and being on the depot shot and, on and off of it, it just messed up my cycle. So I was late, and I was feeling some other symptoms. My breasts were very, very tender, but I got that sometimes before I started a period, so I thought, maybe that's just it, whatever. So I decided to take a test. So I went and I bought one, and I was with my friend, and I went to the bathroom and I peed on it, and you're supposed to wait for that 2 minutes before your results show up. So I left it on the bathroom counter, and I went into the living room with my friend, and we were just talking for a bit, and then she said, "Okay, it's been 3 minutes, do you want me to check on it for you?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." So she goes into the bathroom and she yells, "Oh, dude, you're fine. You're good. Everything's fine." I was like, fuck, thank God. So there's only one line, and she's like, "Well, there's always that second line, right? That really faint line." And I was like, don't mess with me right now. Like, no. And she was like, "Well, isn't that how it's supposed to be?" And I go into the bathroom and I look at it, and I'm like, no, like, I'm pregnant. Like, blew my mind. I started pacing around the whole living room and her house, and I was just like, what have I done? Like, oh my God. And I'm just freaking out. And she calmed me down. She said, "Look, let's go to the doctor's office right now, and they'll do a test on you, and we can know for sure." I was like, okay. So, by the way, this was my first test here. So it was that little faint line there. So, yeah, we get to the doctor's, and it was an hour and a half wait. So we decided to go to the park across the street and just sit on the swings and just talk. I also took this time to call my boyfriend and let him know that I had taken a test and it was positive, and that I was going to the doctor's to find out for sure. And the very first thing he said before he asked if I was okay or anything, he said, "Abortion, right?" And I was like, we had talked about it before, if this were to happen, we were taking the precautions to not get pregnant. No, we weren't using condoms, but yes, we were using birth control, and I know it's not 100% effective, but that's what happened. So we had those talks before, and, we agreed that if we were taking the precautions to prevent pregnancy, and pregnancy did happen, that we would terminate it, because we weren't at a point in our lives, being young and not financially secure, that we weren't ready to bring a child into this world. Nonetheless, it still bothered me that before he could say anything else, it was abortion, right? It bothered me a little, but whatever. So, I should also mention at this time that 2 weeks before I found out I was pregnant, my boyfriend left on a trip to Europe. And so I was, besides my friends, I had nobody. And I didn't tell a lot of people. I told like my 2 closest friends, and that was it, because I needed someone to talk to. That's a big thing to go through. So yeah, it sucked. Anyway, so we get into the doctor's office, and I do a test. He comes in, he says, "Congratulations, you are pregnant." And I said, "Oh." And he's like, "Well, is that what you want?" And I was like, "Well, no, like, I don't know. I don't know. It was weird to be congratulated about it. I don't know, whatever." So, yeah, that was it. I called my boyfriend again, and I said, "Hey, like, yep, it's, I'm pregnant. Um, I'm not, I need some time to think about this, and I need to tell my mom." And, I called her right after the doctors, and I said, "Hey, Mom, can I come over? I really need to talk to you." She said, "Is everything okay?" And I said, "I just need to talk to you." So I drove over, and I get to her house. She's sitting on the couch, and she looks at me, and she mouths the word, "Are you pregnant?" And I just hung my head, and I gave her a little nod, and she's like, "Okay, let's go outside, let's talk." So I showed her the pregnancy test that I had, and I showed her the paperwork that I had gotten from the doctor, because he wanted to book blood work, and he wanted to book an ultrasound, and told me to get on prenatals and all this stuff that you would do if you were planning to keep the child. And she was like, "This sucks, but we're gonna get through this, and I'm here for you, and what are you thinking of doing?" And I said, "I'm not ready to become a parent. I have so many things to do. I'm supposed to be meeting my boyfriend in Europe in 2 weeks from now, and everything, just my whole world got turned upside down." And she said, "Okay, well, you go home, you take a night to yourself, you think about what you really want, and if abortion is what you really want, you need to call the clinic and set up an appointment time." So I went home, and my way of therapy for myself is writing. So I just wrote all night in my journal, and it's really hard looking back at those entries, but things happen. So in the morning I woke up, and I decided an abortion is what I wanted. So I called the Kensington Clinic in Calgary, and since I don't live in a city that has an abortion clinic, I would have to wait until I was 6 weeks along in order to have a surgical procedure. So I was 5 weeks and 6 days at the time. Or no, 5 weeks. Yeah, just 5 weeks, 1 day when I found out. So I had to wait 9 days in order to go. By that time, I was 6 weeks, 3 days. My abortion was scheduled for the 29th of May. Yeah, so the day comes, and we get to the clinic, and I made sure that it was first thing in the morning, because I heard about, pro-life protesters, and I was not strong enough to deal with someone screaming in my face that I'm a sinner and I'm going to hell and I'm a murderer, because I have decided to get rid of a cluster of cells that was growing in my body. And at that early, that is how I view it. I think about it all the time, don't get me wrong. It was hard for me. So anyways, my mom and I get there. They give you a sheet to sign in with. They let you in. It's a locked facility, so you have to be buzzed in. I get in, I read over, what to expect and, how I'm going to feel afterwards and the aftercare and all this stuff and fill out a whole bunch of information. Then we wait for a bit and a counselor brings you into their office. And it's an all-female facility, by the way, which I really appreciated. So I go into the counselor's office and she says, are you here of your own free will? Is this what you want to do? Like, we're not here to judge you no matter what you choose, whether you want to do this or you want to leave right now. We are here for you and we care about you. And that was nice. So after that, I got taken into a changing room. You're able to leave your shirt on, but you're given it's like an apron, but it's a skirt that you just tie up. And then you go sit in a room full of girls who are dressed the same that are also waiting for this procedure to be done. So while you're waiting, you get called into an ultrasound room. You can choose if you want to see it. I chose to see it. I also chose to have pictures printed off. I don't know. I do kind of regret doing that because it is very hard to look at the ultrasound picture. But I'm a very sentimental person, and I believe that everything I go through in life is my own journey, sad or good. And so that's what I decided to do. You don't have to do that. So after the ultrasound, you go back and you sit in the waiting room again with the girls. It's just the girls. Everyone else is in the other waiting room waiting for you to come out. So another 15-20 minutes pass and you get called into the nurse's office. There she takes blood from you to see if you have negative or positive blood. It's called Rh factor. Google it. It just has to do with your blood basically fighting each other if the baby was positive and you are negative or vice versa. So she asks you, she gave me an antibiotic as well, and then she asks you if you would like something to calm your nerves, and that is Ativan. It's 1 milligram. I decided to take that. I have anxiety as it is, and being in that situation was extremely stressful, and I felt very uncomfortable the whole time. So once I get back in, you're kind of just once the Ativan kicks in, you're relaxed. There's a TV on, there's magazines, there's things for you to keep your mind preoccupied, so you're not just sitting there thinking, like looking around, all these girls are here for the same reason, I wonder what they're thinking, what am I thinking? So keep your mind busy. Yeah. So after a while, the nurse will call you into the procedure room. Once you're in the procedure room, the doctor comes in, says hi to you. She told me that she's going to take very good care of me and that it would all be over very soon. And then you're administered IV drugs. Once those 2 IV drugs are in, they give you a cocktail of them both. Within 5 seconds, your world is pretty, I don't know. I remember looking up at the ceiling and they had tiles, kind of like what my room has here. And I was looking at those and everything was just swirling, And all I could feel was maybe a little bit of pressure. The whole procedure lasted about 5 or 10 minutes. It wasn't actually, I think it was less than that. It must have been like 4 or 5 minutes. I don't remember feeling, a lot of pain or anything. Just like I said, it was that little bit of pressure at one point. And then, she tells you you're finished, and don't look on the table after. Um, I did, but I was, like I said, pretty drugged up at the time. Um, but I don't know, it's fucked up. I don't know if I should be telling you this, but there was a bag on the table full of just blood and, you know, what they had taken out. And I couldn't see it very well. But it was there, and I remember being very high and being like, can I see it? And they were like, no. Like, what do you mean, can you see it? And whatever, I was very high. And they put you into a little chair, and they give you a heat pad, and, you know, ask you if you need a drink, and I had some water, and you rest a little bit, and then half hour later, they get you up, make sure you're okay, give you instructions for care afterwards, and they get you dressed and lead you out to whoever's waiting for you in the waiting room. And so got to my mom, and we got in the car, and we started our hour-and-a-half drive back. And yeah, I had a little bit of cramps afterwards. It was nothing too bad. The bleeding wasn't too heavy. There's a lot of clots and stuff. It's not pretty, but it wasn't too bad. The emotional aspect of it is hard sometimes. There are some days that I really wonder. Then it's especially hard for me because two of my closest friends, actually, we all found out we were pregnant in the same week, and they have decided to continue on with their pregnancies, and I aborted mine. And you know, they're 17 and 20 weeks right now and getting little bellies, and my friend just found out the gender of her baby, and you know, in that aspect it is hard because some days I wish I was pregnant, and that I wish, you know, I wonder what my belly would look like, and, you know, would I be having a boy or a girl, and, you know, what would my life be like right now? But then I look back on it and I realize that, you know, I spent the entire summer in Europe, and I did a lot of amazing things, and I cycled most of Europe, and, you know, I got to make lots of money and work and enjoy life, and so in that aspect I don't regret it. I know I did the best that I could given the circumstances that I was dealt, and I know it was the right choice for me, so I don't regret it, but I do think about it. It is hard sometimes, especially like last night was a tough one for me. I did a lot of writing, and I thought that now that some time has passed that I'm okay to talk about this now without crying. So yeah, I just want my experience out there so that people can really see what it's like, because I found there wasn't a lot of stuff out there that could have helped me when I was going through this, and I felt very alone, and I felt very scared. But life goes on, you know, mistakes happen. I feel very, very privileged and blessed to be in a part of the world where abortion is an option, and that there's relatively a lot of support for you afterwards if you're unfortunate enough to have to go through one, because it does suck. I don't want to ever have to go through it again, but that being said, I'm happy with my choice, and life goes on. Okay, thanks.